Now you know. I think this was real important for everybody to see how I watch a football. Um, I'm very happy. I really am. But this is like the Cleveland game. This is exactly like the Cleveland game, except for we earned this one more. And I'm really happy that Zach had a drive like that. That was important because Zach. I'm gonna. And again, I don't know. I'm not LaFleur. I don't know how everything was set up on that play, the interception, first one. But when you have I forget the score, but the fact is I don't know how you diagram a play. Now I don't know. Maybe it was the receiver. Was he running the pattern a little bit too deep? Talking about the receiver that was being covered by Sutton. Did he run that pattern a little bit too deep? I don't know because I don't know how you would come up with a diagram play where you are we were apparently you're not anticipating the fact that the defensive back could do what the defensive back did, and all he has to do is forget about the receiver he's covering, move over a few yards to where the receiver is coming towards him and pick off the interception because Zach is looking at the diagram play that the coach is telling him to run. Okay. And Zach put the ball. Now, I don't know exactly whether or not, we have to go back, but what we say what you want about whether or not it was a good pass or a bad pass. The fact is that's where Zach was told to throw the football. Okay. He throws the football in the area that he's supposed to throw the football, and the defensive back moves away from his receiver. And why is he that close to where you are telling us that receiver should have been, if let's say it was a perfect pass? So I can't blame Zach for that. And I can't blame Zach for the second interception because to me, that is on the receiver. But part of it is where the pass is thrown. Sometimes you can't throw the ball 100 miles an hour all the time. So that's something Zach will learn, but that wasn't really his fault either. So I look at both interceptions, and you could definitely go into the room, the quarterback room this week and go, okay, you know what? Maybe this is my bad. Or hey, again, I don't know. Hey, maybe the receiver ran the wrong pattern, but don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself for what happened on the second interception. There were a lot of positives. Now, there were negatives, no question about it with Zach. Get away from the interceptions. Let's talk about the fact that he's got to learn, especially early, not so much second half, but first half. There were quite a number of times that Pittsburgh was rushing, and all Zach had to do was move up. I'm not telling him to run, just move up, one or two steps. That will give you an open pocket, a complete open pocket, instead of standing there and the pocket collapses on you. You had to give it to Corey Davis. He made some really, really big catches. It was nice to see Wilson making some big plays down the stretch again. Elijah was there early, but kind of disappeared in the second half. Brees had a really good game, as noted by the analyst. That it was I think the play-by-play guy. Yeah, that his numbers actually weren't that bad, all things considered. But most of those came on passing down. So the Jets, it wasn't like, see, he was wondering, well, the Jets weren't running the ball so well, but I'm looking at his stats. Well, that's because every time they were in running downs, they were getting stopped. But we were gaining yardage on the ground when it was a passing down. So that's the reason why. Yeah, that statistic was a little misleading. Still, nice. And it was a nice touchdown, too, by Hall as well. See, Bryce Hall is a touchdown machine. Defense finally came up with some plays. There are still some players that are not adding to that. Huff, Martin. I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. Get the kid Anae in. Why are we not playing Bradley Anae? What's up? And I don't hear anything about who looks better in practice. Right now, Huff and Martin have done nothing. They have added nothing to the pass rush. Okay, so let's get some other guys in there. As far as the penalties, when is this going to end? When is this going to end? The penalties, the personal foul penalties are just as bad as when Greg Williams was our defensive coordinator. And it has to stop. It is sickening. All right. Move on to the linebackers. And the linebackers is what really helps make your run defense. They are terrible right now. We have bad linebackers. Okay. So where's Sherwood? Why doesn't he get a chance to play? Why is Quan Alexander playing? Why doesn't Sherwood play? Sherwood, you talked Sherwood up last year. You gave him some playing time. Now I don't see him on the field. Why doesn't he deserve a chance to play? So get Sherwood in there, okay? Because Quan Alexander, he made his member early in the first quarter. He made his hit. And what does he do? He gets up, and I'm the man. And did they lose a yard? No. Did they get a turnover? No. That's the thing, and I bet you there will be some fans out there that'll be, oh yeah, man, I like Quan Alexander, man. Yeah, I mean he's physical, man. He is a one-trick show me pony. That's all he does. Okay, he doesn't make impact plays. He makes a hit once a game. That's his hit. There you go. I said it in the first quarter. Remember, I said that's his hit. And I'm getting to the point right now, as you can tell, I cannot stand C.J. Mosley. He is an overpriced. I don't want to say. I said it already. I just don't want to say it again. It's not really the way to go. But he's overpriced. I'm glad they made the move in the offseason to restructure his contract. That'll make it easier for them to kick him off the team in the offseason. Exactly what's going to happen. There is no way C.J. Mosley is going to be on this team unless something dramatically happens in the second half of the season. Both Alexander and Mosley can't cover Pat Freiermuth. Pat Freiermuth is not Kyle Pitts. I like Pat Freiermuth. I like him. I think he's a good tight end. But he's not Kyle Pitts. Meaning, he's not this super athletic speedster. You can't cover him, and you're making all this money? Not Alexander, but Mosley, you can't cover him? Terrible. Can't take C.J. Mosley anymore. And he's got the nerve. Remember on that one play later in the game? He has the nerve. After he makes a play, he makes one play, and we get the gyrations again from C.J. Mosley like he's some sort of superstar. And what was that? Second down. What happens on third down? They give up the 10-yard run by Pickett for a first down. We came this close to losing this football game. And remember, at the beginning of the football game, we had everything under control. It was 10-3. We had the stupid play that Zach Wilson. You can either blame Zach or you blame LaFleur, but that is just a stupid play by somebody. All right, and then when the half is over, you have a personal foul penalty. And I don't know who it was. I'll talk about that when Jan and I talk about everything going on with the team later in the week. I don't know who that was, but it happened again. The obligatory personal foul. And not only did we get a personal foul, but we got, just like last week, it went from personal foul, it went from 0 points, punt, to personal foul, 3 points. So in a game that was about to go 13-3, pretty much into the locker room at that point, went to 10-6. What do you think is going to happen at that point as the game goes on? Why do you think my entire mood changed during this game? Because at this point, winning or losing it's important. Trust me, because it's about building a culture here. It's about winning, and you got to steal games. The Jets have stole a couple of games, That's nice. It really is. It's great. They've stolen a couple games. But we have got to see major improvements. And between Joe Douglas and Salah, they have got to get this figured out. Because the type of plays that are going on that field, the stupid plays that are being made, and the players, the overpriced players like John Franklin Myers and C.J. Mosley, guys like that. It's great to see Quinnen Williams step up. Beautiful, Quinnen. You had a great game, but it's you and I know it can't be done this year. I completely get that, but you got, and I trust Joe will get it right. These guys have either got to get better and be a part of the rebuilding, or they got to go. And they're the veterans too. I thought the secondary played real well. The only time they gave up passes, guys were covered. You had guys that, like with Carter and Pickens. I mean, Pickens has a height advantage. That's going to happen. You got things of that nature. So you did not see any miscommunications in the secondary. We talked about that, and I was going to hold them to it because talk is talk. But apparently they've got the miscommunications over with, which is great. Marcus Joyner had his best game, which was awesome. Great to see. They were opportunistic. They came up with turnovers. They had the sacks that they were supposed to have. They didn't do a good job stopping a run, but again, you could blame that on the linebackers. We got bad linebackers. What are you going to do about it? Okay, and they got a good running back. Okay, so it's going to happen. They did enough, though. They really did. The reason that they almost lost this game was absolute stupidity. This is this is and I forget who referenced this with Bill Belichick, but it's the truth. Until you start playing the elite teams and you become an elite team, until you start getting to the postseason, that kind of thing, and you're striving for Super Bowls, during the regular season over a 17-long season, you were basically playing most of the games, letting the other team lose the game. That's what you're doing. If you play mistake-free disciplined football, you don't turn the ball over, you don't have stupid penalties, you don't have a bunch of dumb crap happen to you, and how many things like that have happened to us this season, including in the wins. If you erase as many of those things as possible, you can have a great chance to win every week in this league. And the fact of the matter is, we could be 0-4 right now because we are still making stupid plays. I hate losing more than I like winning. Just the way that it is. And so that's why I'm not like jumping off. I'm not like zeroed in on the game and it's close and come on, man, let's go. I've had so many more losses over my history with my teams, especially the Jets. I can't let myself get hurt like that. It's painful. So I try to hold it in and hope for the best, and then when it happens, it's great. And then maybe and then I'll kind of in a half hour I stop this. I'm gonna have a smile on my face. Right, we got to win, but still, it wasn't pretty. There's a lot of mistakes that need to be, and you know what? That's why when I look at Douglas and Salah, even though you can blame the coaches for what's going on, but I don't think you can blame the coaches in the short term. I think you blame the coaches going on at the end of the season. In the short term, it's the players. In the long term, it's the coaches. But right now, the players are being undisciplined. And we have an issue on the offensive line because of injuries. When your tackles are down to your fourth and fifth strings, everything else suffers. And now you go from being an above average offensive line talent wise to now being a below average offensive line. That is a big difference. And that's why it's harder to run the ball. And that's why it's harder to to pass protect. But as you can see, Zach, even though it took him until the fourth quarter, until one of the last drives for him to finally run that way. And I said this is what happened to him last year. Early in the season, I couldn't understand. I was like, where's the kid from BYU? The kid from BYU used to run that way. The kid with the Jets is tentative. He's not running. And when he is running, he's running all around like you saw today. He's running in the backfield. He gets hurt. He comes back. He's a changed quarterback. And in a lot of ways. And that was one of them. All of a sudden, Zach started to run the football again, like he did at BYU. He started running this way. Now, maybe it happened in this game because it was early. He hadn't played all season. And he needed to get his feet wet. And once he did, and the action started to build up, he made a couple of plays with his running that way. But he has to learn to make quick decisions from now on when he's running the football. If you're going to go for it, go forward. When you're rolling, you think you should go for it, go. And then if you are going to go and you see someone open, make the decision to throw. What he does is he's now in a situation where he's running and he's getting out of traffic. And by the way, my whole point on this is Joe Flacco couldn't do that. If Joe Flacco was our quarterback in this game, it would have been a disaster. Because the amount of running Zach had to do, Joe couldn't do any of that. So anyway, so Zach is running and he's thinking too much. What do I do? What do I do? Where do I go? What do I do? What do I do? And then a couple of times you're going, what are you doing? Dude, just make a play. And then he's even throwing the ball when he decides to throw the ball out of bounds a couple of times. It's like, dude, why are you throwing the ball in the area where Pittsburgh guys can come up with the interception or attempt to? Just throw the ball out of bounds. You're not going to get penalized for it. So there, he has got to figure, and that's when it comes to slowing the game down. That's where he's a young quarterback still. It's his first game. All the players out there for the Pittsburgh Steelers were playing in their fourth game. Zach's playing his first, and he's a young kid, right? But I'm not gonna give him all the breaks in the world because we saw what Pickett was doing, right? And when you see Pickett play, and I love Pickett, I'm a huge Pickett fan. You know, listen, watching this network, this channel, I've said this for the last couple of years how much I like the kid. That's what I said. I said out of all the quarterbacks in this draft that were coming out, he's the top guy. I don't want to hear about that guy or that guy. He's the top guy. And he is, I thought he should have started week 1, and he is now going to take over Pittsburgh at quarterback. And I don't know, Trubisky, I'm assuming Trubisky got hurt. Again, I don't know, condensed game. But the difference is you look at Pickett play, doesn't he have a confidence in him? Nice confidence in him. I'm not seeing that with Zach. Zach is still, I think he's thinking too. I think he's, so that's why, and then the last couple of drives, including the last drive, there wasn't so much thinking. You know, for a majority of the plays, not all of them, but a majority of the plays, he was just going, making the pass. And to me, that's going to come with, again, and I've also said this, and I don't want to compare Pickett to Zach, because every young quarterback has a completely different development path. But Zach's talent is there. You see it. Now it's just a matter of once the game starts slowing down for Zach, his immense talent will take over. I'm not saying he's going to be Patrick Mahomes. I've never said that. But I still think he could be, when it's all said and done, a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Got a ways to go before that happens. But the game has to slow down for him. So in general, I'm going to go because I've talked enough. You've got the reaction video as well. Watching football, really what it should be, in essence, it's entertainment, right? So you want to be entertained. And when you have a losing team for 10 plus years, not a lot that's entertained you. And what happens is you get to this point where when you're watching and hey, you know, it's early in the season, we're now 2-2. So why am I acting and looking like we're 1-7? Because I'm not being entertained properly. I want to be entertained. I don't want to watch my team play ugly, undisciplined football. So even though we win, which is absolutely awesome, and it's great because it gives the team confidence, move on and get better. All great, but again, this team could be 0-4 and maybe deserves to be 0-4. That's how undisciplined they played so far. And that's the part that why I look like the way I look. Because in a way, I would be more excited and more positive about what's going on with this year's team if they were 1-3, or maybe even 0-4, but didn't have the stupid mistakes, the stupid penalties, and ugly games in essence. Because really, if you think about it, we've had the best plays that we've made this season have come in the fourth quarter in the Cleveland and Pittsburgh game. And in about probably a 1 quarter, probably a 10-15 minute span. So we've had like 10 or 15 minutes of entertaining football. Every other minute that we've watched so far this season has been unentertaining and very difficult to watch. And that's how I feel. So I hope that makes sense. But hey, man, it's awesome to get a win. It is great. We'll talk more about it with Jan in a few days. Let's see if we can take advantage of this, because we have to get better. And the problem is, I will say this, though. This was better than Cleveland, because we needed a miracle to beat Cleveland. We didn't need a miracle to win this game. And also keep in mind the fact that, well, like I said, at least we put pressure on the quarterback, which we haven't done before. We've got turnovers in the game, which we haven't done before. So it was nice to see. There are some little, and we got our quarterback back. So there were definitely some positives this week. Now we got to get even better next week. Play the Dolphins. I have no idea if Tua is playing or not. If he doesn't, even if Teddy Bridgewater, if Teddy Bridgewater plays, are we supposed to sit here as fans and go, "Hey man, this game we should win"? Are you kidding me? We barely beat a rookie quarterback and Mitch Trubisky. We barely beat Jacoby Brissett. Okay, so now I know that the wins have been against the bad quarterbacks or the suspect quarterback. So having Bridgewater in there would give us the advantage to win. I'm not saying it's not a good thing. Very good thing if Bridgewater plays, but we haven't. It's not like we've been. Hey, we're in the lead in the fourth quarter against Teddy Bridgewater and the Dolphins, and we're just going to hold on and win this game. Does anybody believe that's going to happen? Does anybody believe that we are going to be disciplined enough and all of a sudden turn it on like that against the Dolphins? No, I don't think so. Undisciplined teams don't just turn it on overnight. Expect more undisciplined play against Miami. The hope is that instead of 10 undisciplined plays, we get it down to 5 or something like that. That's the hope. So, okay, a win's a win. That's absolutely awesome. Like I said, we'll talk more about it later in the week. I hope you enjoyed this reaction. And like I said, too, please subscribe to the channel. That is extremely important. Share the video as well. Like the video, comment on the video. All these things are really important, because if we are going to put these types of videos together, and I want to know what you think about it. I want to know whether or not you believe that these are worth your time, or you just want me to do the post-game shows. Because again, we're a monetized channel, and showing these games, these highlights, the NFL, I'm pretty positive they're going to strip my monetary angle, and they're going to say, look, we're not going to give you a red mark or anything like that, but you can post video, but you're not going to be able to cash off of it. And if that's the case, then I got to know that we're it's stuff, subscribers and all that other stuff is making up for it. But again, I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry I'm not like a 25-year-old kid that is fresh watching football, and I'm going to be up, and because there's a lot of those guys that are on YouTube, and they're all up and they're down and they're freaky and they're screaming and all this stuff, and I'm a different animal, and I've been around a lot of disappointment. So it's at least I'm giving you the real me. That's all I can do. And sometimes the real me doesn't say much, and maybe that's a good thing. I'll see you guys later.